Ça va?
Moulin Rothschild 74.
Oui.
Ah, and now I have you back, my friend, from France.
Oui.
You are here with me.
I am here with you.
And how was your weekend away?
A fantastic weekend. I fished the Sensas festival at Scotthorne. It was awesome. I had a great week. Travelled with LK, Mr. Lee Kerry. We had a lovely time.
And how did you get on?
Should we talk about me first?
Talk about you, mate. It's all about you.
It's all about... I really enjoyed myself, mate. The fishing was very difficult.
Yeah.
We had some terrible weather. We went on the Wednesday. We had Thursday practicing, and Friday was a little practice match. And Thursday, it peed it down all day. Ridiculous.
Right.
Relentless rain, start to finish. Myself, Alan Scotthorne, Lee Kerry and Oliver Scotthorne all sat in a line and had a practice. It were the hardest fishing conditions I've had in ages. I were freezing, soaked at bone. But we learnt a few little things, had a nice day, caught probably 15 pound of skimmers on a slider.
Nice.
At these lakes at Scotthorne. They're really nice lakes, sort of 9 to 12 feet deep in the middle. Stocked with all sorts of fish, didn't really know what were in them. Catfish, skimmers, roach, rudd, carp to like 40 pound.
Large portions of.
Large portions of. And I tell you what, on the Friday,
Yeah.
Lee Kerry were really funny. We were having a proper meltdown.
That's not likely. He's not a meltdown man.
It's
is
not,
he?
but it
No,
was freezing cold, right? And he were in, and he'd up this big carp, and he got it all the way to the net, and it was in excess of 20 pound.
Yeah.
And it nodded and broke him.
Ooh.
Right, so we're really angry.
At least we're in practice. You've
We're in
got to
practice.
take a bit of consolation from that.
And then he got monk on then. Lip were out. And he went and sat in the back of the van. And he looked at me and he says, Matt, I am seriously contemplating taking death right now.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, Lee. And just as he said it, Didier Delanoy, or Delanois, Didier,
Yeah.
and Baptiste Cortelemont come round the side of the van with a big bag of McDonald's for us all.
Oh, no.
Proper saved us, right? We had this McDonald's, sat back down, and then Lee latched into this beast.
Okay, so we're here in France practicing for the Sensas Challenge final. It's been really cold, really wet. Some warm weather coming in at the weekend, thank God, because it's been freezing. But on a slider, 011 reflow power, I'm absolutely over the moon. I've just landed this carp. Weighed it's just ounces short of 17 pound. So it's proper made up for a really cold day. So just going to get it back now. But really has made my day. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Almost untouched. Looks fantastic. There you go, mate. Beautiful.
So
That was a large portion of,
it
wasn't it?
was a nice fish, wasn't it? So it made up for losing it.
Yeah.
It did brighten up a tiny bit about half an hour before we packed up, but it was freezing. And that night, it got even worse. We got up in the morning, it was -2 degrees when we got in the van, but we couldn't actually get in the van.
Right.
Because all the wet and damp had froze the doors shut. So it were far from ideal fishing conditions, and that showed in the practice match for some of us.
I'll tell you what, that's not the south of France they show on the tourist
It's
brochures,
not,
is there?
it's not,
Eh?
mate, it's not. Fishing were incredibly difficult, mate, but enjoyable as well, quite technical. All the lakes were different. I didn't know what were in any of them, and at first I were a little bit like, oh, I could do with some information, but I right enjoyed going and not knowing what were there. And I had a terrible practice match. I didn't even weigh in.
Oh, bless you.
I didn't want to bother the scalesman. I caught 4 little skimmers and 2 roach. Sean Ashby battered me on next peg. He caught a bream, a carasio and a few other fish for like 3 kilo. Did really well. And Ed Warren won our lake with 13 kilo, a big bream, off a peg down to my left, about 6 pegs to my left. Did really well. Nice net of fish. So it showed what potential the lakes have got.
Yeah.
But in general, really, really difficult. Alan Scotthorne won the match with 17 kilo
Did
of
he?
carasio. Yeah, I caught him on a waggler fishing against this shallow bar. He said it was just like catching F1s in England, firing little balls of ground bait out.
Really?
Yeah. He had a lovely day's fishing, did Al. But that was a practice match. And then the format of the festival was Saturday and Sunday. Across all, I think it were about 6 lakes in total. The first day for me, I drew something called Vouvray, a lake called Vouvray or something like that.
Sounds very nice, doesn't
Yes.
it? Right up our street.
And you needed to draw end pegs. Everyone said you needed to draw end pegs.
Yeah.
Right. And on my lake there were 2 end pegs. On a lot of lakes there were end pegs because they were like a section of 13 or 14
Yeah.
anglers. So there's obviously 2 either end.
Yeah.
Guess what I did?
I know what's coming. Dipped an end peg out.
Dipped her in, didn't I? Well, I didn't draw very well in practice match on purpose.
Right,
I thought I'm going to
okay.
save it for the match day.
Yeah.
Drew end peg, didn't I? And it was brilliant. I had an awesome day. I had a bite nearly every chuck in on my slider from 2 hours in. Couldn't get a bite on pole to start with. And then 2 hours I'd been feeding my pole,
Yeah.
my pole. Didn't really know what I was going to catch. I fed one line with a little bit of raw joker, and I fed another line with loads of ground bait. So I got
Yeah.
a negative one and a positive one. And slowly started catching these little pommies, Pomeranian hybrids, and an odd catfish, little spiky catfish on the pole, Poisson chat they were called.
Nice.
And it just got better and better, and I ended up catching I catch half a dozen to a dozen fish on pole. It'd go a bit quiet, so I topped both lines up with a little ball, chuck my slider back out, catch a few more fish on a slider, nicked one £2, nice big skimmer / bream. But all the time I was aware what were happening down the other end of the section because I drew in Lee Kerry section. We've got a knack of this. Whenever we travel together, we end up drawing in each other's section in big matches and stuff. Like Evesham
Yeah.
battered me twice.
Oh yeah, yeah. Next peg twice there, didn't you?
Yeah. But he went middle at section and I got a phone call halfway through. Matt, the guy next to me's just netted a carp. And it's probably £18.
Flipping out.
So we're fishing for second in section at this point. And then about an hour ago, I got another phone call. Matt, I've just had a carp. And Lee Kerry had one, and he reckons it were about 4 kilo. And when the scales come down to me to weigh in, I was the last one to weigh in the section. This guy's carp actually weighed 9.5 kilo.
Worth catching then.
Proper worth catching. He didn't even have silly gear on. He had like skimmer tackle on, 013, a 16 hook.
Down edge on double pellet.
Double corn.
Wait.
I don't know what. I think they caught it on a bunch of bloodworm.
Did they on the slider?
On slider, yeah. And Lee Kerry had a carp, and also Ed Warren had a carp in that section. We had loads of English. Callum Dix were on the opposite end peg to me.
Was
Then
it?
there were Ed
Oh,
Warren.
I bet
Lee
you two
Kerry.
got some stick drawing like
We did,
that, didn't you?
we did.
Either end peg.
Either end. You got to dip, hadn't you?
You have.
Don't go all that way to draw a bad one. But to cut a long story short, Lee ended up weighing 8.5 kilo. This guy who had the 9 kilo carp had just under 10 kilo, and I had 7 kilo 200. Lovely days fishing, busy, nice net of fish for third in section, which I was happy with.
The 14 peg section, or it's 15 peg section?
13 or 14.
13, so it's a good result, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd have took that. Definitely would have took it. On to the second day.
Yeah.
I drew a lake. I can't remember the name of it, but it was known as the Catfish Lake.
Right.
Even though it had been throwing up some big bags of roach and skimmers and stuff as well.
Right.
Like big bags as in 7 kilo. I think 7 or 8 kilo won it the day before. But again, didn't know what to expect at all. Some people said to fish for these little ruds, shallow. Other people said catch catfish short. Young Bradley Gibbons did really well fishing for catfish short. And I had a phone call with him. He told me a few little tricks of the trade for them spiky critters. And I decided to set up a bit of everything. And to cut a long story short, I didn't catch anything properly for about an hour. And I soon realised the best way I was going to catch a weight of fish was just to target these catfish on a short pole line. And they were a really interesting little fish to be fair. You got a lot of little tiny indications off them all the time. And the best way to catch them was to feed balls with some joker and chop worms in and throw little balls in to make a little bit of noise. It was like they come to noise. You could have probably tapped your pole tip on the water, you know. And they were like 1 ounce to 4 ounce. But they're really tricky little things because they've got little spikes on either of the pectoral fins and also one on the dorsal fin and 2 spikes on the gill plates. So obviously you got to swing them in and you can't grab them. You can't just reach out and grab them. So you were swinging them in, pinning them to your leg to make all the spikes stick out, and then a finger round each spike. And if you squoze them really hard, just might open the mouth, but they grip onto your hook like this.
Oh no.
You couldn't get the hook out the mouth.
There's a lot to be said for skimmers and roach.
There is.
There's a lot to be said for
I
skimmers.
swung one in, right, and I swung it in a little bit hard, and it flew in and stuck in my belly.
No.
Oh, its fin stuck in my belly.
Actually in your belly?
It was stuck in my jumper, but went through to my belly, but they've got anticoagulant on the fins.
Yeah.
so it makes you bleed and stuff for a long time. That's horrible. My hand's still
Charming.
sore now.
Charming little creatures.
Cut a long story short. Ended with 5 kilo and 40 grams. It put me 5th in the section. I did draw in Lee's section again now.
Yeah.
And he didn't do so well, bless him.
Did
But
you have your own back?
I had my own back. He'll tell you about that shortly. I ended with 8 points,
Yeah.
a 3rd and a 5th, which I was happy with.
Nice.
The section was won with Alex Cordan off the end peg with 6 kilo 800. My little mate Alex, fish with him since I was a kid. Lovely lad, a French kid. And the 8 points put me 12th on the festival.
Nice.
Which I was really happy with. First time I've been, picked some money up. About €250 for coming 12th. But I think a big well done must go out to some of the English anglers who did fantastic.
And the French.
The French anglers. It was won by a French chap. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name.
No, we've got it on the screen now for you though.
We certainly have with the results right there. But he did really well. I think he had a 1st and a 2nd. But 2nd place went to Cameron Hughes.
Bless him.
Reeve backed. Nathan's a Derby man. Really well done to Cameron. Proper consistent angler, innit?
Very good angler. Very, very good angler.
He did awesome. Shipp was 3rd.
Good old
Never
Des.
fails to impress. He did a lot of moaning.
Well,
He did a lot of moaning, but he got his result.
there's nothing wrong with a bit of a whinge.
He's not.
mate,
I think
is there?
I think he plays up to it.
I love him, I do.
I do. He's always there or thereabouts. But a special mention, young Bradley Gibbons.
Yeah,
Not been on the festival before. I think he's only 18, isn't he, Bradders?
18, yeah.
He went out there. He did really well in the practice match. I think he come 3rd overall in the practice
Did he?
match. Yeah, with 9 kilo. Opposite me, really good, fishing a slider. Really, really impressive to watch. And then he came 3rd in his section on the first day.
Yeah.
And won his section on the second day.
Flood is brilliant.
So
isn't it?
brilliant.
Bless him.
Really, really, really happy for Bradders. He did right well.
Good angler. Nice lad.
Lovely kid. Lovely kid.
Just needs to stop that new girlfriend he's got getting in the way of his fishing, doesn't he,
Well,
really?
he's got a couple. He's got a few, hasn't he? He met one over there, you know.
Has he?
Yeah.
Did it show you a picture of that great big one?
She wants smaller. We got over there.
Really?
Honestly, receptionist on hotel.
No.
Proper lump.
Really?
You wouldn't mind looking at late on that edge.
Really? That sort
Really,
of size are we talking?
really. But
You ever heard of the Windsor Witch?
why is that what he's been messing about with?
That's his latest conquest.
Jesus
She's a
Christ.
nightclub bouncer from Windsor.
Is she?
She
Right.
can knock him out.
Can she?
Yeah.
Right, on that note, I think we should leave him with Lee Kerry. His little summary of our time. Thought I'd get a little interview with him on the way back.
Yeah.
England International, interesting chap, innit?
Absolutely. Very interesting chap and a great guy.
So shall we leave him with that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Are we off for a pint?
We'll go for a pint and we'll see you next week.
Toodle pip.
Hey, nice coat, isn't it, this?
You like it?
Yeah, it's
New
nice.
one
It's a
there.
new coat.
Yeah.
Somebody give you a new coat.
Yes.
It's nice, yeah.
Yours is nice.
Oh, mine's a nice coat.
Really smart,
Yeah, I
don't
wasn't
they?
smart in my coat. Right. Yeah.
Filming you now.
Are we doing vlog?
Yeah.
Oh, right, good, good.
Doing a little interview with Lee Kerry, how he got on in the Sensas Festival. Just got back off the tunnel.
Yeah.
You've heard about my story. Now, Mr. Kaz, talk us through your couple of days.
Well, Matt, I'm not as consistent as you. Right, I like to blow hot and cold
Yeah,
on these French trips.
yeah.
I've not had a lot of success in the past here either. It's got a bit of a bogey venue for me.
You've been 3 times now,
I've
haven't
been 3 times, yeah. It was starting to irritate me that I couldn't seem to... I'm not going to make excuses by saying it's a little bit peggy. I feel like even if you don't do very well, you probably should do better than... Well, you should always do better.
Yeah.
So I was keen to make a bit of an improvement, but we had a practice match on the Friday on the lake. So like you've told them, there was no river in this year. And basically, I had a really good match. I caught 3 kilos on a slider. I know it doesn't sound like a massive amount, but the match was 4 hours, and I really enjoyed it. It was, you know, I really enjoy slider fishing. I think it's a bit of an art, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, you've got the skill, the physical skill involved of feeding accurately, making sure your rig's presented well. It's really good, and it played a massive part in the weekend. So I had a really nice day catching small roach and like little skimmers on a slider, so I was well happy with that.
Yeah.
I would have won my 14 peg section, but they don't pay sections. They paid like the top 10 on the lake €20, so I got me €20 back. But I had a good start, and I thought, well, you know, that to win a big section like that would have done brilliant in the festival. And then then on the next day, we drew in the same section, didn't we?
Nightmare. Every big match we come on, we end up drawing in each other's section,
Yeah,
don't we?
it's quite annoying to be honest, yeah, because you're bloody good.
And he's even better.
So I don't, you know, it's always difficult to try and beat you, but, you know, I suppose...
At least there wasn't any sporty car kicking about.
Or I suppose neither one of us was on an M-peg, you know, so that's fair enough. No, I had a good match again. I caught 4 kilos 300 on a slider.
Lovely.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Little roach and skimmers.
Yeah, little roach and skimmers. I did have one about £2, which was nice, and like a lot of fish. I really enjoyed it. And then the bloke next to me caught a carp 9 kilo 300. 9 kilos 300. That's a £20 carp.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
On a slider.
On a slider, yeah.
And he didn't have that heavier gear on, did he?
No, he didn't. And he had like 10 roach in his net. And I thought, I've got you today. Got you today, Mr. France.
And then he's nailed that.
And he had a big carp, yeah. Then I've had a carp as well, and my carp's been 4 kilo 100, and that's given me 8.5 kilo for second in the section. So I was really pleased with that.
Good performance.
I was really pleased with that. You had a great day. I'm sure you've told them. You had 7 kilos,
yeah.
So I did need the carp, but where we were, they didn't catch anything, did they? I mean,
no.
I'd have been third with 4 kilos.
Exactly.
Like, you know, if there hadn't been any carp, I'd have been third with myself. Second. I'd have been second if there hadn't been any carp. So it was nice, you know. I felt quite pleased with myself, to be honest.
And then the final day. What about final day?
Well, the final day, not to dwell on it too much, but it's just a nightmare, proper nightmare.
Proper weird.
So strange. It's a lake absolutely full of catfish.
I've told them about the bites. They were real, weren't they?
It's just weird. Like, your float's giving it all this all the time, and you can't figure out what's going on. But in my defence, a little bit, they haven't caught any catfish either side, and it turned into a catfish match. The match was earlier. You needed to catch catfish. You did brilliantly 2 pegs away, 5 kilos odd. But there was a few catfish, weren't there?
Definitely.
Caught. There were catfish your peg and the next 3 pegs.
It was the same the day before though. I spoke to Sean Ashby about it, and he said like he had 5 kilo of catfish, and then the bloke next to him and the bloke next to him didn't catch any. They caught silverfish, and like it seemed like they were a solid divide, didn't it?
There was a proper divide in the catfish, so it was really, you know, it was really hard. And I caught some roach on the slider because I couldn't catch any catfish on the pole, and then I caught a few catfish and roach later on. I had 3.5 kilos for 10th in my 14, and you know, I can't remember last time I was 10th, Matt. I was so disappointed. I felt really low because I felt like after such great days, I had a really good chance of finally getting in the festival, and then it just didn't go for me. But the best thing about these trips are they're really educational. You learn loads, and the company's average.
Yeah. But next year, if I don't have to come with the same people that I've come with this time, I'll definitely come again.
Yeah, I agree. If I was with somebody who's sensible and...
It's been brilliant.
You know,
the fishing were fantastic, the hotel were nice, but the company below average.
Terrible, below average, yeah.
I'm only kidding, I've loved it.
Brilliant. Right, get back to your blog
on a serious note, I want to have one little moan. How faffy are the French?
Oh.
These ridiculous faffers.
I love the French, but they love a faff. They love to fish shallow with bloodworm and leave and clouds and catch little fish.
And they get really excited, don't they, about little tiny fish?
They're bloody good at it, aren't they?
Brilliant,
They are bloody good at it, but I think that's probably why we go and league.
Yeah, catch a bream.
Catch a bream or a big carp, yeah.
And we're back next year.
Yeah, I'll go back next year for more punishment and spending more money.
Awesome. I've enjoyed it, mate. Thank you.
I've loved it, mate. You know I've loved it.